Welcome to our introduction video for opening our drawing center. Today is just our opening day, so we've already looked at our little video on how to take care of the drawing center and what types of things are there. Now we're going to do a little bit of an experimental project. We're going to be looking at doing a value scale, and not with just one thing like your pencil going from dark to light, but with several different media that you will pick from the drawing center. You get to pick any three that you want from the drawing center to use today. But first, we're going to want to draw our value bar scales. The easiest way to do this is to give yourself an edge. And so I just line up the edge of the ruler, and then I very lightly draw a line like that. I line up against the other edge, and I draw a gentle line. I'm going to repeat that on the sides. I just line up the edge of my ruler with the edge of my paper, and this time I only have to draw between the two lines I've already drawn because I'm just trying to get an inside box. And this one over here, I'm going to go this direction. Now I can erase any of my extra lines that are out here around the corners. We like to keep our papers nice and neat. Artists keep things neat so that we keep our focus on the subject matter on the paper, not on all the little scribbles or side distractions. Now we want to do 3 different value bars on here. So I could do this the trickier way. I can make sure that my 0 mark is on my line and say, well, there's almost 6 inches on here. So we'll just round it to say 6. If I wanted to divide 6 into 3 different pieces, how many inches would each one have to be? So 6 divided by 3 would be 2 inches. So I can make a mark at my 2-inch mark and my 4-inch mark, because that's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, roughly 2. Then I can do the same thing on this side. Now I'm out of room because of the way my paper is set up, so I'm just going to make sure my 4 is on here, because then I know 1, 2 inches, 1, 2 inches. I have a mark on each side. Guess what happens if I now connect those 2 marks to each other? I now have 3 separate spaces. And I made sure those lines were parallel by measuring them. If you just want to eyeball it a little bit, that's okay to do as well. Now I have 3 different ones for my 3 different medium that I'm going to use. Now we want to make this into our value scale. So I'm going to kind of, let's see, we'll do 6 value bars. So this is about the middle of my box. I'll draw a line down. And then I'm going to say, well, this, if I want to cut this into 3, I could make a mark here, and a mark here, and it's about the same distance between those. Same thing on this side. If I eyeball it, it's about the same distance between each of those. And then I can take my ruler and just put it on one of those marks and run it between the lines. Now these aren't perfect. If you want to measure it out to make sure they're a little bit more perpendicular or parallel to one another, you can. Otherwise, kind of eyeball it just so they're generally all the same. Now, what's not on here yet that you're going to need? Your name. So make sure that your name goes on one of those outside edges, please. Just like that. Good job. Now when we do a value bar, it means we're going to go from light, and the lightest you can get of something is white, you don't color anything at all the way to as dark as a color would get. So if you were doing something like a black crayon, your first box would be white, and by the time you get to your last one, it should be black. Everything in between should be getting progressively darker and darker with each box that you're in. And here's what that looks like. I've picked a couple of different media for you to see from the drawing center. A colored pencil, an oil pastel, and a chalk pastel. I'm going to start with the messiest one first, and that's definitely going to be the chalk pastel. So if this is my white box, that means the next one over should be as light as I can possibly get with this chalk pastel. I want to try and stay inside those lines as much as possible. And then I want to blend it. You can blend it with your finger, or you can check at your center to see if maybe there's some Q-tips that you could use to blend it with as well. Either way works fine. It's up to you to try out the method that works best. So that one's pretty light. The next one that I do, I'm going to push just a little bit more. So as you can see, there's more pigment coming off of the chalk pastel this time. And it's a little darker. I'm going to try and blend it as smooth as I can so I don't have dark spots and light spots. Then the next one, I'm going to push a little more. And as you can see, each time it gets progressively darker. When you keep them all together in the same color family or same hue like this, then you're also working monochromatically. That means mono being one and chromatic being color. So we're only using one color. We're not really doing a tint or a hue because a tint or a shade. I'm not adding black to make it darker. I'm not adding white to make it darker. I'm simply using the medium all by itself. And on this last one, you're gonna push as hard as you can. Again, we don't wanna break our tools, so be careful with that pushing. You notice there's a lot of extra chalk. I am not going to blow this up in the air because I might have a friend around me in the classroom who has asthma, and this is something that can set that off. So what I'm gonna do is carefully carry it over to the trash can and shake that inside the trash can.